opening with image of Victorian-era phrenology head diagram, welcome to the shadowy borderlands where science fades into fantasy, where facts blur with fiction, and where extraordinary claims lurk without extraordinary evidence. I'm your guide into the mysterious realm of pseudoscience and quackery, perhaps one of the most captivating yet treacherous territories in our exploration of unusual science. In 19th century parlors across Europe and America, the educated elite would gather to have their skulls measured and mapped, believing that the bumps on their heads revealed their personality traits, criminal tendencies, and intellectual capacities. This practice, known as phrenology, was embraced by many as cutting-edge science. Today, we recognize it as pure pseudoscience, yet in its time, it shaped educational systems, criminal justice, and even career guidance. Split screen showing scientific method, diagram versus pseudoscientific approach. What transforms legitimate scientific inquiry into pseudoscience? What invisible line separates the pharmaceutical breakthrough from the snake oil remedy? And why, despite our technological advancement, do pseudoscientific beliefs persist, even flourish in the modern era? Pseudoscience cloaks itself in the language and trappings of science while evading its essential methodology. Quackery, a term derived from the archaic word quacksalver, meaning one who boasts about salves, refers specifically to fraudulent medical practices and their practitioners. Together, they form a beguiling yet dangerous tapestry of claims that appear scientific but collapse under scrutiny. Image showing crowd at pseudoscience demonstration. Looking amazed, the allure of pseudoscience is undeniable. It offers simple explanations for complex phenomena, certainty in an uncertain world, and often hope where conventional wisdom offers none. Its practitioners speak with conviction, leveraging our cognitive biases and desire for control. In many cases, pseudoscience thrives in the gaps of established knowledge, the questions that legitimate science hasn't yet fully answered. Today, we'll journey through the telltale characteristics of pseudoscientific claims, explore notable historical examples, examine modern manifestations, understand their potential for harm, and arm ourselves with tools to distinguish science from its imposters. Infographic showing characteristics of pseudoscience. Let's begin by illuminating the shadowy characteristics that betray pseudoscientific claims. Unlike genuine science, pseudoscience often displays a constellation of revealing traits. First, pseudoscience drapes itself in scientific-sounding terminology, impressive jargon that creates an illusion of legitimacy. Terms like quantum healing, vibrational energy, or cellular memory borrow from scientific vocabulary while distorting their actual meanings. Second, pseudoscientific claims typically resist falsifiability, the cornerstone of scientific methodology. When a claim cannot, even in principle, be disproven, it has stepped outside the realm of science. Consider the assertion that invisible energy fields affect your health. How would one definitively disprove such a claim? Image of closed scientific journal with rejected, stamp third, pseudoscience displays an allergic reaction to peer review. While legitimate science thrives on critical evaluation from experts in the field, pseudoscience often claims persecution when faced with scrutiny. Its proponents may suggest that the scientific establishment suppresses their revolutionary ideas out of jealousy or conspiracy. Fourth, we find cherry-picking of evidence, the selective presentation of data that supports a predetermined conclusion while ignoring contradictory evidence. This curated approach to evidence stands in stark contrast to the scientific method's requirement for comprehensive analysis. Finally, pseudoscience often claims the mantle of ancient wisdom or secret knowledge, implying that it possesses insights that have somehow eluded conventional science. What science doesn't want you to know becomes a captivating marketing tagline for those selling pseudoscience. Historical illustrations of phrenology, mesmerism, and bloodletting. The annals of history are rich with pseudoscientific practices that once commanded respect. Phrenology, which we touched upon earlier, was developed by Franz Joseph Gall in the late 1700s. Despite its complete lack of validity, it influenced everything from criminal sentencing to career counseling for decades. Mesmerism, named after Franz Mesmer, proposed that an invisible fluid called animal magnetism permeated everything, and that manipulating this fluid could cure disease. Mesmer's theatrical demonstrations drew crowds of the elite, who would experience convulsions and emotional releases under his supposed influence. While his methods inadvertently revealed aspects of suggestibility that would later inform hypnosis research, his theoretical framework was entirely fabricated. Historical medical images showing bloodletting procedures. Perhaps most perplexing was the enduring practice of bloodletting, which persisted for nearly 2,000 years. Based on the ancient belief in four bodily humors that needed balancing, physicians drained patients of blood to treat ailments ranging from fever to epilepsy. This practice likely hastened the deaths of countless patients, including, some historians believe, George Washington, who was drained of nearly 5 pints of blood while fighting a throat infection. The homunculus theory, the belief that sperm contained fully formed miniature humans, persisted well into the 1700s despite microscopic evidence to the contrary. These historical examples reveal how even educated societies can embrace fundamentally flawed ideas when they align with existing cultural frameworks. Modern examples: crystal healing, astrology charts, alternative medicine practices turn now to our modern landscape, where pseudoscience has not retreated but rather adapted, donning contemporary disguises. Crystal healing proposes that different minerals emit specific vibrations that can influence health, a claim without physical basis, yet marketed with scientific-sounding terms like resonance and frequency. Astrology, the belief that distant celestial bodies influence human personality and events, continues to thrive despite overwhelming evidence against any such correlation. Its vague predictions and subjective interpretations create an illusion of accuracy through the Barnum effect. Our tendency to recognize ourselves in generalized descriptions, images of alternative medicine products and anti-vaccination materials. Certain alternative medicine practices make extraordinary claims while evading scientific validation. When these practices discourage conventional medical treatment, the consequences can be dire. Anti-vaccination theories persist despite overwhelming scientific consensus on vaccine safety, demonstrating how pseudoscience can spread through social networks and exploit parental concerns. Even the flat Earth theory has experienced a puzzling resurgence in the internet age, with proponents dismissing photographic, astronomical, and physical evidence in favor of conspiracy theories and selective reasoning. What unites these modern beliefs is often a distrust of established institutions, a desire for simple explanations to complex problems, and social reinforcement of alternative viewpoints, psychological factors that transcend education levels and can affect anyone. Graph showing harm caused by pseudoscientific medical treatments. The harm caused by pseudoscience extends far beyond mere intellectual error. When pseudoscientific health claims divert people from effective treatment, the consequences can be fatal. Cancer patients who abandon chemotherapy for unproven, natural, remedies often discover too late that they've made a devastating choice. Financial exploitation runs rampant in the world of pseudoscience, with billions spent annually on ineffective treatments, products, and services. The financial burden falls disproportionately on the vulnerable, the desperate, the suffering, the isolated. Image showing misinformation spreading through social media. Perhaps most insidious is how pseudoscience undermines scientific literacy and critical thinking. When spectacular claims receive equal footing with evidence-based conclusions, the public's ability to distinguish between them erodes. This degradation of critical faculties extends beyond specific pseudoscientific beliefs to affect decision-making in other domains. Consider the measles outbreaks that have emerged in communities with low vaccination rates, a direct consequence of pseudoscientific beliefs about vaccine safety. Or contemplate the estimated thousands who die annually by rejecting conventional medical treatment in favor of unproven alternatives. The social cost manifests in fractured discourse, with people inhabiting separate reality bubbles, unable to agree even on what constitutes evidence or expertise. Infographic showing critical thinking tools. How then do we navigate this treacherous terrain? The antidote to pseudoscience lies in cultivating critical thinking, the disciplined analysis of claims based on evidence. When evaluating a claim, ask, is it falsifiable? Has it been tested rigorously? Has it survived peer review? Does the evidence come from multiple independent sources? Does the claim require accepting increasingly elaborate explanations to maintain its validity? Seek information from reliable scientific sources, peer-reviewed journals, scientific institutions, and experts with relevant credentials. Remember that consensus matters in science. When the vast majority of experts agree, there's usually good reason. Image showing respectful conversation between people with different viewpoints. When engaging with those who believe in pseudoscientific claims, approach with curiosity rather than condemnation. Understanding why someone finds a particular explanation compelling can create space for meaningful dialogue. Ask questions that prompt critical reflection rather than triggering defensive reactions. Remember that we all harbor cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that can lead us astray. Confirmation bias leads us to favor information that supports our existing beliefs. The availability heuristic causes us to overestimate the likelihood of events that readily come to mind. And the Dunning-Kruger effect can give us unwarranted confidence in areas where our knowledge is limited. Image showing science and skepticism as beacons of light as we conclude our exploration of this enigmatic borderland. Remember that the line between science and pseudoscience isn't always immediately apparent. Science itself evolves, sometimes rejecting its own previous conclusions. The difference lies in method. Genuine science embraces evidence that contradicts its hypotheses, while pseudoscience shields itself from refutation. The prevalence of pseudoscience reminds us of our human vulnerability to compelling narratives and simple explanations. Yet it also highlights the remarkable achievement of scientific methodology, a system designed to compensate for our cognitive limitations and biases. Image of question mark made of stars against night sky background. Scientific literacy serves as our map through the misty borderlands where fact meets fantasy. By sharpening our critical faculties and embracing the uncertainty inherent in genuine scientific inquiry, we immunize ourselves against the allure of pseudoscience's false certainties. I leave you with this thought. In a world where information flows without filter or verification, the responsibility for distinguishing science from pseudoscience increasingly falls to each of us. What tools will you choose to navigate this challenge? And how might we create a culture where critical thinking is valued as highly as compelling storytelling? Until next time, question captivating claims, demand compelling evidence, and keep exploring the genuinely unusual wonders that real science reveals.